Coming up on How Do They Do It? How do millions of trees, billions of bees and brilliant machines help make a humble bar snack? How do they build giant snowblowers that clear one of the coldest airports on Earth? And how does cool chemistry make the detergent that keeps your clothes clean and pristine? We take you around the world to show you how on How Do They Do It? They say from tiny acorns, mighty oaks grow. But one nut puts that well and truly in the shade. This is the humble almond, and it's grown into a worldwide culinary sensation. One company harvests them by the mountain load, processes millions of kilos a day, and makes use of man, machine, and Mother Nature's busiest. So, how do they do it? It's 6 a.m., mid-February in Sacramento, California, and a brilliant blanket of almond blossom lines the landscape. Almond trees were first planted in California by the Spanish almost 300 years ago, and now there are an incredible 830,000 acres of orchards across the state. %80 of the world's almonds now come from California, and Daryl Brunn works for Blue Diamond, the largest nut harvesting company in the world. To produce nuts, you need two different varieties of almond tree coming together to pollinate. And Daryl lines them face to face like blooming suitors at a dance.
Okay, we have two varieties of almond trees, one variety in this row, another variety in this row.
For the process to work, male pollen has to cross the dance floor to make the acquaintance of the female stigma.
The almond crop is dependent upon how many flowers are pollinated, and if the weather is right, conditions are ideal, we'll harvest a big almond crop.
In nature, pollen is often carried from flower to flower by wild bees. But they can't simply let nature take its course. There aren't enough wild bees to pollinate all these flowers. So they call in a mammoth team of 1.8 million workers, headed by Ray Olivares Jr. and Kevin Wetz, who arrive with a truck, a forklift, and 60 beehives. 830,000 acres of orchards require over 1.5 million colonies of bees. And there aren't that many bees in all of California. So every February, beehives are trucked into the almond groves from up to 5,000 kilometers away.
Whew. You're ready to get out and start working.
It's the largest managed pollination event in the world. In the cool morning, the bees are docile. But as the temperature rises, they become more active.
We use a bee smoker that keeps the bees calm. If they got agitated, they could kill the queen and we'd lose the whole hive.
Having kept them calm and got them in position, it's time for the bees to get busy. As the bees forage for nectar, they carry the pollen on their body from one tree to another and pollinate the flower so it will bear fruit. In fact, over 90 major food crops depend on these incredible insects, from almonds and avocados to soybeans and strawberries. Ray Olivares has grown up with bees.
I was born in the bee business. I'm a second-generation beekeeper. I was born allergic to bees. I almost died twice when I was young. At about the age of 18, I grew out of it and was able to get into the bee business.
And Ray knows that business hinges on keeping the queen healthy and reproducing.
Oh, there's the queen. There she is right there. She is the one who controls the whole hive. And this hive probably has about 50 to 60,000 bees. Ouch. I just got stung.
With everything looking good, Ray leaves the bees here to spread pollen from tree to tree and to collect nectar and make honey. But amazingly, none of the honey these bees produce will end up in a jar. Almond honey is bitter and inedible. Once the flowers are pollinated, the nuts start to develop. It takes 6 months before those nuts are ready to drop. But there are over 7,000 on each tree. Picking them would take days. So they shake it, big time. and it rains almonds. The shaker can cover an acre of trees an hour. Those nuts are left on the ground to dry for up to 10 days before blowers and sweepers place them into rows. And a pickup machine hoovers them up. The result is a California mountain range you won't find on any map. But the nuts in these vast peaks are still covered by husk and shell. So next, this machine squeezes each almond through a set of spinning rollers to remove the husk. Now, just down to their shells, the nuts are transported to the company's almond processing factory in Sacramento. The world eats its way through 1.1 million tons of almonds a year, and most of them come from here. This titanic plant processes over 3 million kilos a day and is the size of 33 city blocks. In peak time, over 100 trucks arrive every 24 hours. And large belly dump trailers release the raw almonds into a pit with a maze of underground conveyors.
There's a belt in the bottom of the pit here, and the belt carries you to an elevator. The almonds go 95 feet in the air to the silos.
The next challenge is storage. When you've got up to 3 million kilos of nuts arriving a day, you've got to have somewhere to put them. These 24 giant silos can hold over 13 million kilos between them. And stadium-sized rooms store the rest in cool, fresh conditions. That way, the factory has a constant supply of nuts to process 365 days of the year. Conveyors bring in 120,000 kilos an hour. Huge shaking machines called Rotex screeners shake them through layers which grade the nuts and remove any waste. Another machine strips them of their shells before high-tech sorting equipment uses lasers to detect any damaged nuts or any dirt or stones that may have slipped through. The nuts are then spot-checked by an eagle-eyed quality control team. Lauren Logan is a grower quality tester, and she gives short shrift to anything nasty nestled in the nuts.
Taking out split and broken, and insect damage, and then foreign material.
If you're an almond lover, you'd think Lauren has a dream job.
I've been here 40 years. I don't eat nuts.
Well, everyone has different tastes. A corrugated bin empties 1 million nuts onto a conveyor, ready to be roasted, salted, and have flavors added. The 25-meter-long belt takes the nuts through a roasting oven at 135 degrees Celsius. And this is a shake and bake affair, because next, packets of salt and hickory smoke flavoring are showered down onto the oily roasted nuts, sticking to the snack like a barfly to his bar. And with packets of salty flavoring of this size, you'd work up quite a thirst. A final once-over to remove any substandard nuts, and it's off to packing. Packets of nuts are filled and sealed. For a more bar-sized snack, cans are used. But if there's any oxygen in the cans, the nuts will age quickly and could even become rancid, which is yet to catch on as a flavour. So a squirt of liquid nitrogen drives out the oxygen and keeps the nuts fresh. Finally, they're labelled, packed and loaded onto lorries. California may be associated with raisins, but almonds are now its largest food export, worth over $3 billion a year. From here, they're delivered to bars and supermarkets all over the world.